Hello, loves. I've been trying to film this video for a week and the audio wasn't working, but now it is, so I'm happy. You're happy. Yay. So this episode's gonna be pretty short because it is 12:40 a.m. when I am filming this. And this has to go up at 11 a.m. on a Monday. And it is Monday right now, 12:44 a.m. And I've been trying to film this since like forever, but my computer chooses the worst times to not make me. You know, but it's okay. We figured it out. So that's what matters. Okay. How are you doing today? I didn't ask you how you were doing. How are you doing? Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's what I said. Exactly. That's what I told her. Oh. Okay, that makes sense. What? You're kidding? Okay, but I respect the decision. Like nobody should judge you off that. See, you had a very eventful day. Me, on the other hand, I cleaned today. Yeah, I got some cleaning done. I cleaned my bathroom, in my bedroom. Did like some good stuff. I read, got a lot of videos edited, so we're cool, we're good. Finished the book today. So yeah, but yeah, you wanna know the book? It was the Rose Park by Sasha Payne Smith. Oh yeah, it was 3 stars, but you read it. We haven't read it yet. You should read it. Yeah. It was like Red Queen, but 10 times better. Mm. But I rate them the same, but I feel like if those two on a pedestal, that would be higher. Okay, I'm not biased. Like, I'm just saying, if you read Red Queen and you want something similar to Red Queen, don't go to Carolyn's, go to the Rose Bargain. Like, I'm sorry, I said the truth, but okay. Like, whatever. But today, since we're on the topic of books, we'll be talking about what nobody says about being an author. See, as an author, I have seen some things, okay? I have seen some things, and not bad actually. I would just like to make this episode with the expectations, with people having expectations that writing a book is going to be smooth sailing. I mean, maybe the writing process, maybe, but the actual process when it comes to publishing a book is not smooth sailing. So I'm going to walk you through it in this episode today. So, of course, when you have your first draft done, you need to go on with your second draft, which is where you go in and you revise stuff. And after your second draft, you can either do a third draft or you can send it into an editor, whatever floats your boat the best, okay? So, once you've done that and it's submitted into an editor, you can start getting your cover art done and all the extra stuff. And yeah. But I will say, when it comes to getting an editor, the editor does not do all the work for you. They tell you things to fix and they give you suggestions, okay? And it's your choice on to take them or not, but they give you suggestions and they edit what they know needs to be taken out and they let you know things like, hey, maybe not this, and hey, this isn't the proper grammar. So once you've submitted to an editor, there's still tons of work to be done in the writing process. When it comes to that, there's still writing to be done. So just make sure you're aware of that before submitting it to an editor. Like, yep, I'm done. I'm good. I'm cool. I don't have to do any more work on this book. Like, that's not true. Honey, it's most definitely not true. You've got some work to do. Okay, you've got some work to do. And it's okay. It's okay. Because you want to know something? That work is gonna get done. Yeah, we're gonna make sure of it. So, to continue after that, after you've officially finished all that good stuff, where you have sent it into an editor and you have looked over it and it has been proofread and mm, all that good, amazing stuff. Now you can worry about your cover art. Now, finding a decent cover artist or even a great cover artist that will capture the exact feeling and essence of what you want your book to be can be difficult because you may have something in mind that the cover artist cannot form, or maybe you may have something in mind that's just practically impossible, honey. Like, come on. So, you have to make sure that when you have good communication with your cover artist. Now, as for me, for my first book, my debut novel, I made my cover. because I knew how I wanted it, and it was not easy. It was not easy, but I made it because I knew how I wanted it. But with my other books that are coming out soon, and those are not totally voted yet, it is hard to find someone who can do what I want for this certain fantasy novel that I'm in the creation of making, in the process of creating. Because I have something that the cover artist might not be able to do that I really, really, really want. That I want to see on my book cover. I want to see a certain something on the front of my book with the title, with the name, everything. So there are certain things that I want that cover artists may not be able to do. So we have to just keep that in mind that there has to be great communication between you and your cover artist. And not just your cover artist, but also has to be great communication between you and your editor and you and your proofreader and, all that kind of stuff. Because without great communication, the receiving end, we may be the person calling. The person on the receiving end doesn't even know what we're talking about. It's just like, wait, what? And if we are not properly communicating, there could be a very blurred line of this straightforward line that we're supposed to make for these people. There's a very blurred line where they're confused half the time, but they think they have it down because the way that you're explaining it, they're just like, whoa. And when you're communicating with them, if you're really dry and you're not communicating with them properly and telling them exactly what you want and be like, hey, well, yeah, or if an editor is like, hey, well, I think you should change this, but you meant to write it in a certain way, and there's not proper communication, it's going to make it executed wrong. It's going to make it look like it was executed improperly. It's going to make it look like it was not edited. And it could have been edited 3 times, but because there was no proper communication, that cover could look like it was made off of Wish. And that book could be edited like it was edited off of Wish because it's not what you envisioned because there was no proper communication. So between you and your proofreader, you and your editor, you and your cover artist, you and your cover designer, whatever it is, even if you're getting character art to promote the book, if there's not proper communication with the person who is doing this work, it's going to make your work suck. And you can't even blame it on the other person because they could have a million great reviews because they've done this properly. But guess what all those people did? They communicated. They told that person what they wanted. The only reason you got such a crappy result, crappy ending, is because you didn't properly communicate. Now you might be like, okay, well, I don't say this has anything to do with being an author. Well, it does because communication is key. I know you probably heard that like 7,000 times in your life, but it's true. Communication is key, and that's how your book can really succeed. I mean, in order for you to get a popular book, you have to communicate with a fellow fan base. If you're not communicating what your book is, then how are anybody supposed to want to be interested? I mean, if you say one thing that's not your book, your readers are going to go in expecting what you promoted, and they're going to be shocked and rate it horribly because it's not a single thing you said it was, or it wasn't executed properly, or wasn't communicated to your fan base properly in that video or in that post. Like, you have to communicate. So I just want to start the episode off with saying that communication is key, and it's very, very important when you're writing a book because if there's no proper communication in that book, it's not going to turn out the way you want it to, and your readers are going to be highly, very disappointed in the product that they are receiving there. And mind you, these people are paying to read your work, so you would think that you want them to read something that's worth their money. Yeah, that's what you promoted. So just make sure that there's communication around with your fan base, with your editor, with the proofreader, with the cover designer, and with your cover artist, and with that person that you're commissioning for that art that is just to promote on your Instagram or your TikTok or whatever you're using to promote your book. So next up is more on the topic of promotion is promoting your book. Now this could, be like any of the product, but I feel like when it comes to promoting your book, that's 10 times harder. Not saying that when you're promoting like anything else other than, but like for example, candles, it's not hard. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying when it comes to candles, it's like anybody's looking for a candle, right? It's just you gotta have a certain scent that they're looking for. When it comes to a book, you have to have these people's things down to a T. Like the trope thing, like the setting, the characters, the personalities, all that stuff has to be down to a T in order for people to want to read your book. And we cannot do all that. as an author myself, we cannot just go around doing all that extra stuff. It's really not worth it. I'm going to tell you right here, right now. So I'm going to tell you what I did. I just wrote out a quick summary, not a synopsis, but a summary of what I found my book to be. So, for example, two girls from two completely different backgrounds find out that they are both related and have to sit in a castle where these guards are actually trying to kill them, and they're under a curse, and these two girls have to fight and break the curse before they end up being the next victims. Boom. It's a mystery to be solved. It's why it's clean. And see, that is a good, it's a good summary. It's not a synopsis, because the synopsis has the things on both characters. But the summary is just explaining quickly in 30 seconds or less what your book's about and things you want your readers to know importantly, which for me, it's that it's YA and it's clean and it's fantasy and it's mystery. Those are the four things I want my readers to know when they think of my book. YA, clean, fantasy, mystery. I mean, come on. Did I tell you? I really hope I told you, which if I did, go check my Instagram down below. That's where all my stuff in my book is. Or subscribe here because I'm also posting content about my book on this channel as well for my YouTube shorts. So stay tuned because I have some more promotional videos coming out soon on that. So yeah. But when it comes to writing your book, you want to make a quick summary and make up a few keywords that align with your book. So for example, once again, for me, it's fantasy, mystery, it's clean, and it's YA. Those are my four words. Like somebody asked me, "Oh, what's the genre? Fantasy or mystery?" I could bring up either of those, but I usually say fantasy and mystery, or just fantasy because fantasy, I feel like it's its own genre with or without the mystery part. It's its own genre, you know. So yeah, you have to have your keywords, and with promoting it, once again, aside from your summary, I feel like when it comes to promoting your book, with a thing between books and other products is that with books you have characters, right? I'm saying like books don't have characters. Oh my goodness. With your characters, I try to make like character profiles. Like, oh yeah, this is what this character likes, and this is what they this is what they dislike. This is their age, this is their height. So that way, when readers go into the book, they kind of have this familiarity with the characters, and they feel connected to the characters. You know, so I definitely recommend that. But now for the final part, which I'm probably have all been waiting for, is the actual writing process. Now, I've actually gone over this in I think two other episodes, but you can go watch those after this. Stay tuned and finish this episode because I have some good advice for you here that I might not have said in those other two episodes. When writing your book, I do really recommend planning your book. Okay? Nobody, and I will tell you, not many people will tell you to plan out your book. I went into my first book, my debut novel, without planning it out, and it was very disoriented and disjointed. And when I went back into that second draft, I was like, what is going on? I had changed so much because nothing made sense because there was no plotting, there was no planning. And I may be like, oh, what's planning? What I consider planning is doing chapter, for example, 13, and giving us a basic synopsis of what you want to happen in chapter 13. So when you go in and write it, boom, you already know what happens in chapter 13, you just want to put it into words. It really helps with the writing process. And I will say when you get writer's block, it doesn't affect you as much because you've already planned out the book. So you just have to like figure something out to go with it, what you already planned out. The writer's block really only hits when you're planning out the plot and you only need to plan out a certain amount of chapters, don't you? So I will say not many authors actually take to publish their books. I feel like there's only one very popular author that I've actually seen publicly admit on multiple occasions that she plans and plots out her books to a T with like a full summary of what she does in her books, and that is Holly Jackson. Which you've probably heard her name. She wrote Five Survive, Ghost Got to Murder, and The Rare Pants of Rachel Price, and she has a book coming out this month. No, that's next month because it's June right now, called Not Quite Dead Yet. So you probably heard her name be announced around a couple times around book social medias. But Holly Jackson is a very popular author, and she has on multiple occasions in both interviews and on her own social medias admitted that she plots out her books because it makes it easier for her to write. Now, I plot out my books now, but when I first made my first draft, on my first ever book, my debut novel, I did not plot out anything, and it made my time so difficult when writing because I would hit writer's block and not know what to do, and it would sit there for days. And I'm not saying that you have to write every single day, but I'm saying it made it so difficult for me to write because I had nothing to go off of. And when I did write, it had nothing to do with what was going on previously. It was like fluff, and it was randomness, and it was kind of like, wait, what? So when I went and I made the second draft edit, I was like, whoa, these people would be so pissed at me if I just published this how it was. Like if people ignore the spelling mistakes and like the grammar mistakes, they'd just be upset because the story doesn't make sense. Nothing makes sense. So I had to change so much in that story. And I'm glad I did. I'm really glad I did. Because if I didn't, it would not have come out as good as I feel it did. But you really have to plot your books because if you don't, it's gonna come out disjointed. Now, another thing is first draft. Listen, they told you this in school though. They said you have to do first draft, second draft, and final draft, okay? So I feel like when you leave school, nobody really pays attention to that stuff anymore. But first draft, you know, that's when you can be messy. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to go over the same line 7,000 times. That's what the second and third draft are for. Okay, that's what the proper editing is for. The first draft is just to get the words onto the page. The second draft is what you need to go back in and you need to make those edits. The third draft, which if you choose to do a third draft, which if not, and you just send to an editor, that's fine. The editor will do their job, but you can also go to do a third draft so that way it's easier load off the editor as well. So if you do all three of those drafts and get an editor, I will say it probably will come out better. But if you do just two drafts and an editor, it's still gonna come out great. Trust me. I only did two drafts and got an editor and it came out good. I'm just saying if you do three drafts and then an editor, it might come out just a tiny, tiny, tiny one bit better because there were some things that may have gotten overlooked, which, yeah. But yeah, I think that's really all nobody ever says about being an author. And it's about the promotion, the plotting, the planning, the chapters, and the communication. I just feel like nobody really talks about that. They just talk about like the great stuff where it's like, oh yeah, I wrote and now it's published. Now you can buy it. And like I don't really see people go too in depth about the details and the hardships that an author has as well. So if you are starting writing your novel or your short story, whatever it might be a bit difficult because you didn't do this, and this. And I really hope that this video helped point those things out to you so that way maybe your journey with writing will be 10 times easier now that you've watched this episode. And once again, this is the Chaotic Book Lovers podcast. And this season, we're on season four. Season four mainly focuses on writing and authors. So all of the episodes in this season, except for the page to screen, that one was kind of a fun episode about books that are being turned into movies and TV shows. But you can watch that one if you want. But all the episodes besides that one focus on writing and the struggles of an author and giving advice to authors because that's what I'm here for. I mean, I just wrote my debut novel. It comes out July 31st, which you guys should go pre-order, link in the description. But I went through my hardships and I want to make sure that when you write, you don't have to go through the same hardships that I went through. Like, it's going to be 10 times easier for you because I'm going to give you the advice, the things that I did not know writing my debut novel, writing my first ever novel. I'm going to give you guys all those tips. That way you don't make the same mistakes as me and your process is faster, it's easier and smoother, and it's less frustrating and less stressful. And you don't go to bed every night thinking, okay, well, I could have done this better. So I really hope this episode helped you all. And I will see you on the next episode. This is the last episode for this month. We'll be back next month. I'm trying to push them out. We have only 4 episodes of this season left. And I'll see you guys again in October. But 4 more episodes of the season left, and all those are going to be in July. So stay tuned for July because we will have a lot more episodes, and we'll be closing up season 4 of the Chaotic Book Lovers podcast. But if you guys want to keep up with me, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Join the Discord server down below so you guys can interact with me. Join the Facebook book club. This month we're reading the book Rose Bergen by Sasha Payton Smith, but we're going to change it soon. And voting is currently in session. It's voting season, guys. So you guys can go ahead and vote for what book you guys want to read. You guys can go ahead and pre-order your signed personalized copy edition because once the book gets published, the personalized edition will be sold out completely and probably restocked for the next month, but it will be at limited quantity and it will probably not be restocked too often. So make sure you guys get your guaranteed personalized signed copy. I was gonna say I'm sorry, but all that good stuff. And make sure you guys subscribe to the channel because I do book videos and I do videos on Jesus as well. And I post shorts whenever I can. And I also have a gaming channel, which is the Pixel Princesses, where I play games with all my friends and we have a great time up there. It's just silly, goofy, and it's for laughs. So if you guys want to keep up with me on any of that stuff, all the links are down below. Anything you guys want to see me in, it's all down below. I love you all so much. I'll see you in the next video. Many kisses. Many and goodbye.